Greetings all, BWS2K here with another video. It's been a while on the channel since I put up any new content. A lot of things going on in the world and in my life specifically. I've been spending a lot of time in Cortex land, getting to know more about Cortex Prime, participating in the confab, which we have going on. Actually, it's closed now, but over in the Discord, where folks are just kind of creating their own hacks and such. So sort of absorbing that system a little bit better, and also realizing that I was running a lot of Marvel Heroic incorrectly. So I look to fix that and address that when we do pick up with Sentinel Man. We will pick up with Sentinel Man eventually, but this video today specifically is just kind of a one-shot Cortex Prime introduction. The video that I made, I think it was one of the first videos on the channel about Marvel Heroic, the basics, for people who are going to play in my games and for folks who are just asking in general. It's had a lot of views, and I think a lot of folks have at least benefited partially from it, even if it wasn't a totally comprehensive video. So I wanted to make one for Cortex Prime for the same kind of reason. If somebody's going to run a game and or if somebody's going to play in a game and doesn't have any idea how Cortex works, or if you're going to play in one of my games specifically, I might have sent you this link to bring you up to speed on the real basics. So we're not going to get into super complex things. We're going to get into the base, core, foundational concept, loop, whatever you want to call it, of Cortex Prime. Now, if you have watched my other videos or you've watched other Cortex videos, then a lot of this is going to be repetitious for you. You're going to see how, when I was saying in the past that Marvel Heroic was kind of an ancestor to Cortex Prime, you're going to see that shining through here, and you're going to hear a lot of the same language, but there are some differences. So, that being said, let's get started. Number one, do you even need to make a role? So you've got the role-playing piece, you've got the idea, you've got the concept, you're narrating everything, you get to a situation, and you're thinking, I want to do something with my character. The first question is, do you even need to roll? Is this something that dice are really important for? If the success or failure of the action doesn't significantly change the story, then there's no reason to bother with rolling. Just say you're going to do it and everyone agrees you do it, or say you're not going to do it, or whatever. It's not every little thing has to be rolled. And I mean, that's kind of a generic role for a lot of games anyway, but that's an important thing to understand about Cortex because it's collaborative storytelling. You might say, there have been times where I've been running games and someone says they're going to do something, and I go, you know what? That sounds awesome. Just describe it. Just do it. We're not even going to put it up to a roll or anything. And folks, are cool with that. So that's kind of the pre-question. But if you do decide that this is something that requires some dice, most of the time it's going to fall into one of two forms. There's going to be either a test or a contest. A test is where the GM rolls dice ahead of time and sets a difficulty for you, and then you roll to beat that difficulty, and you've knocked down the door, or you've found the clue, or it's usually just like a simple thing, like a skill check kind of. Contests are a little bit more back and forth, and depending on the mods that you're using, they can be much like Marvel Heroic in the action order, going back and forth, action, reaction. It might be a little bit more loose than that. There might be more than one person involved with a different goal. One person's trying to do something, another person's trying to stop them, and a third party comes in and says they want to, do this other thing. So, but that's kind of the more tug of war, back and forth dynamic. It's not so much just a one-shot, one-and-done situation. So it's either going to be a test or a contest, most likely. I don't know that they're, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that wouldn't really be one of those two situations. So after you've determined whether it's a test or a contest, then you're going to either, well, whether or not the GM has rolled, right? Whether it's a test or a contest, you're going to need to assemble your pool. And every game is going to be different in terms of the mods that they're using and in terms of the sets that they're using. But in the end, what that's going to mean for you is going down the different sections or sets on your character sheet and assembling a pool with a relevant die from each set. Now, you may not have one. If you've watched some of the Marvel videos, sometimes, there'll be a power set, but it doesn't apply to what we're doing. You don't have to choose a die from every set. It's a relevant die. You're shooting for at least 3 dice, because in the end, boop, 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 you've picked all of your dice. You've got one from affiliations and one from distinctions and one from power sets and one from specialty, right? This is Marvel Heroic. You might have values, you might have relationships, you might have signature assets, you might have assets that are on the table that you've created. There might be complications on your opponent if there's an opposition or something like that. So you assemble your pool and you roll it. The first thing to do is, if you have ones, set those aside or ignore them. They're kind of a special situation called a hitch, and the GM can do something special with that. But aside from any ones that are rolled, you're looking to do two things. One is to make a total. So you're going to pick 2 dice and you're going to add the numbers that you rolled on them. So you might have rolled a pool of dice and you have a total of 12 because you added a 7 and a 5. Okay? Then you pick your effect die. So you have a total and you have an effect die. And the effect die, the number on it doesn't matter. But of course, if it's a 1, you can't use it. But whatever other non-1 number is on it, it's the size of the die. So you might have a total of 13 with an effect die of D8. Or you might have a total of 15 with an effect die of D10. So it's always going to be like that. 2 dice for a total and 1 for an effect. It may turn out that you do not have enough dice because you rolled ones. So let's say you had 4 dice, but you rolled 2 ones. Well, you've only got 2 dice that you can use. Those must be added for your total. And then you just kind of have a magical D4 effect die that you just get by default. Same thing if you only have 1 die. So if you had 4 dice, you rolled them and you had 3 ones, then that 1 die is your total, and you've got a magical D4 effect die. So it always goes to the total first. Okay, so that's what you'd be doing. Now, whether that's in response to a contest or a test, and then how that goes back and forth, the details of that will be explained at the table. It's not worth getting too deep into it, but suffice it to say that the contest can be like a constantly raising total. So I get a total of 12, and then you roll, and we're in opposition. You roll, and you get a total of 13. Then when it comes back to me, I can choose to give up and kind of bow out gracefully, and there's a little bit of a perk to that, but I still lose. Or I can say, well, I think I can get a 14, and I'm going to roll again, and hopefully I get a 14, and if I don't, then I lose flat out, and there's no perks to it, and you get to describe what happened. It goes back and forth until somebody loses. Okay, so that's tests and contests, that's sets, that's how you assemble a pool, and that's totals, and that's effects, and we talked about hitches. That's really the basic thing you need to know. There are plot points, and they do all kinds of special things. There's all with different kind of mods. You might have a doom pool. You might have trait statements that get challenged. You might have I don't know. There's so many different mods that might be in use that it's hard to really dig in and explain Cortex in one shot. But the basics of what you will need to know at the table is what we just covered. You're going to be assembling a pool with a relevant die from each set, and that's probably going to be for a test or a contest, and you set aside the ones, and you make a total, and you choose an effect, and then boom. Either the opposition goes next, or you succeed at the test, or whatever. That's all you really need to know. So that's all I wanted to cover today. It's a hot day. One of my lights is burnt out. This is not optimal video creation situation, but I really wanted to get it out there so that folks didn't think the channel had died, and also because I'm kind of in that Cortex vibe, and I feel like this might be useful for anybody who is getting into Cortex, because we're really hitting stride, and there's a lot of folks interested with Tales of Xadia, and of course we have Legends of Grayscale. I'm saying we, I'm not involved. I'm just a regular person. I'm not involved in Cortex RPG, but you know, there's other things coming out, other things that are on the horizon that I'm really excited about, and that a lot of us are really excited about. So I want to get this out there. I hope that you found it useful or helpful in some way. If you have questions, definitely let me know in the comments. I don't think I messed anything up in this video, but I might have. So if you notice that I said something incorrectly, also call me out in the comments. And if I find out what it is, I'll put it in the description at the top if I misspoke about something. That's all I have for today. Scott sends his regards. He's not in this video. He doesn't like the hot weather. He's on vacation as well. But that's all I have. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Excelsior!